Hey there, welcome to the Productly with Leah. This is a recut and remastered version of the product-led growth part of an interview that I did with Elena Verna earlier this year. Please enjoy. So, I don't know. Hey, let's also talk about some professional things, maybe if you want to, right? Of course.
Sure, let's do it.
So, have you ever heard about PQAs? It's just like that was
Bam, PQAs.
PQA. Can you explain to the audience what a PQA is?
I have to step back. I cannot start
Yes,
with
probably.
PQA, but I don't think that is possible. So in B2B, we've all woke up one day and we found that we can build products for end users and not just enterprise buyers. This awakening has happened only about 5 to 6 years ago, where we all of a sudden realized that not only enterprise buyers can make decisions within companies of what software to use, but end users can too. Mind blown. Now, why did this actually happen? This actually happened because enterprise buyers did used to make all of the decisions for software purchases within enterprises. But then the list that they would collect of requirements did not actually match to what people wanted. Because what I think I want versus what I actually end up needing to do in the product, quite different. Plus, the same function can be very unusable, even if it produces the same utilitarian effect in one product versus the next. And it created a lot of utilization issues within B2B. And those utilization issues hurt enterprise buyers' hearts because they spent all of this time prototyping and selecting a product, and then they're paying ridiculous amount of money for it, and then nobody's using it. Here comes PLG businesses that are targeting end users directly, and they're sweeping in under the radar like a Trojan horse into their organization. Users love it, and then they ask enterprise buyer to purchase it, as opposed to this requirement coming top down. And all of a sudden, PLG is born. Listen, this is nothing new. B2C has been doing it for ages. They've always went after end user because that is the consumer for them. In B2B, we also realized that we can actually go after end users. Good for us. We have lots to catch up to B2C. B2C, please keep leading the way so we can continue following you. But there's one thing that we still have to address. How do we start with the user, and then how do we end up selling into organization? Those two are not the same thing. And in fact, there's quite a bit of a gap between the two that you can potentially create, not even realizing it. And the gap is usually because not every single usage or product user that you can generate within your company, within your application, can be translated into an actual sales contract. Because fundamentally, every single B2B business still wants to close an enterprise contract because market likes it. Market likes those contracts. It's stability, it's security, it feels so good, it smells like money. So we goal our B2B businesses to go after enterprise contracts. So now we have in PLG a dilemma. How do you start with an end user, or how do you escalate it all the way to an enterprise contract? Enter PQA. PQA is a product qualified account. Product qualified account basically ensures that the usage that you generate within the product can actually be translated to pipeline. That's all it is, because not all usage can be and equals pipeline for enterprise sales. You might have a very happy prosumer that will never ask for an enterprise contract and not even need an enterprise contract. We can also have a very happy team that will never be on an escalator to an enterprise deal. PQA is additional step of engagement in the product that is after setup, after aha, possibly after habit moment, possibly even after core frequency of engagement, that ensures that based on the volume, velocity, feature breadth, or some behavioral aspects of usage in the product that signal that this is the right time to sales involve themselves. So it's another step of engagement. And we in B2B really need to drive it, because otherwise we create a lot of happy users and a lot of unhappy sales reps that cannot monetize those users. Or even worse, we create usage that just cannot be monetized at all, even if it's self-serve monetization. So you really have to think about, how do I unlock a user, a team within my company, but then how do I create an escalator within product to foster sales engagement?
Exactly. So you already said everything. So that's the end of the podcast. No. So, okay. So here's how I
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye. That was it. No. So here's how I educate sales organizations, because there you have to do actually most of the education, right? So like there's two types of accounts that are usually coming in terms of, okay, we want to do the PLG thing. Either it's a company that already has very good data gathering, like they have very good knowledge of the customer success metrics and all of this kind of stuff. Or it's a sales-led company that heard about product-led sales, but they don't want to do PLG, right? That's kind of in their mind the story that they have. And usually the way that I'm going in there is kind of the same, but I do it with a correlation analysis or like a correlation kind of tree. I say always, okay, so you want to have the best product in the world, right? And I say, yes, of course. Okay. So what do you need to do this? Well, you need to create revenue, because revenue is a very clear signal that someone finds this valuable and so forth. So we can forward. So what
value
generates
capture.
a lot of...
That means you can
Exactly.
capture value back. Yeah.
Exactly. You capture that value, right? And then salespeople love this, right? So like, oh yeah, revenue. Oh yeah. Revenue in the morning, like it's like, Okay. So what do we do? Give me some of that revenue. So what do we do to get revenue? And then they say, well, we have a great product. Oh, okay. So like, what is correlated to having a great product? Well, people using the product. Okay. So, then we create this entire tree together. Wouldn't it be nice to know when these particular things happen so you can close your contracts better? And then they start to kind of understand, oh, okay. So what you're saying is that you can help me qualify my leads. Yeah, you can make more money with your incentivization. That's usually not the entire story, because you also need to prepare them that, unfortunately, we cannot just give you all the money when you sign the contracts, right? We also now make you responsible for the success of this client. And that's what product-led growth in the end is. It doesn't matter how you call it, right? It's about customer centricity in the end. If you are getting rewarded that your customer is successful, and that means 5 licenses now, 200 in a year, then you're going to make sure that this also happens, right? Sales always works with a very strong incentivization background. So does marketing, and so does product. We just need to change the goals and these incentivization. So I'm not sure I added actually value to what you said, but that would be my definition.
But you actually bring up a good point of incentives. Sales are incentivized by quota attainment on this quarter. And there is an issue with standard sales incentivization that is focused on land ARR only when you're trying to do product-led sales. Because they're actually then incentivized to compete against self-serve monetization channels. And you cannot allow for that. You actually have to make it more lucrative for them to send a customer to self-serve if the customer can succeed in self-serve and not hoard them towards quota. So that is usually achieved by just giving a multiple on a self-serve close to any sales rep that is owning the account. And then the second of all, expansion. It's all about expansion. Product-led sales is land as little as possible, like at your sales floor, and realize potential of the account over the years, because it's not the same as a top-down sale. Top-down sale, you reach enterprise buyer when the problem is already in the high maturity state and is ready to be neutralized, so to speak, by the company by throwing money at it. In product-led sales and PLG, you enter problem in a very low maturity state. When you close your first contract, it's probably years before you would have ever been able to get in touch with that top-down enterprise buyer. So you can compare, first of all, top-down and product-led sales, so PLG, apples to apples. They're not. The time horizons are vastly different. And second of all, PLG and PLS, sales comp really has to be anchored around expansion. And if it's not, it's a sure way to kill product-led sales if you just incentivize your sales rep to land as big of a deal as possible from the beginning, because then they start grabbing and the horrible behavior of users signing up and the sales reaching out to you on the phone 15 minutes later going, hello, what's your budget? Are you ready to buy? I mean, it's terrible, but it happens every single day. And this is where sales comp is not set up right. PQA has not been established, which gives you the right timing for engagement with sales. And you're trying to grab the revenue to get your fix on the quota and attainment of your forecast without actually understanding what's the right thing to do by the user and when it's the right time for them to engage with you.
All right. It's time to get a little bit out there. So I'm going to share a secret with you. So nobody will know this, right? Unless they actually listen to this podcast.
So let's say what you're saying is that salespeople, in the classical way that they work, they need to expand, they need to understand what customer success really means, right? That's what we're trying to say
Yeah,
with PQAs. And they also need to understand product a little bit more. It helps to understand data in the first
just a
place,
little
right?
bit,
But like,
just a little bit.
just
Yeah,
a little bit.
yeah.
So I know that you wrote about this, and I had a guide in the works for quite some time, and I'm going to tell you how it's called, right? So the guide is called Product Sales Management. I have a hypothesis that in some constructs, there is room for a team that is a product team essentially, but they're focusing on establishing with hypothesis based, experimentation based processes to establish sales processes that then other salespeople are taking over on, like as soon as they have been proven, right? So imagine you have engineers, you have a product manager or product sales manager, and you have your designer in there, right? And you can teach this product manager, which are usually good storytellers, just like you and me, right? You teach them to sell in a basic way, which is easier than teaching someone from sales how to do product. And the idea is, I think this is going to be PLG 2.0. Just wait for it. I think there will be teams that will be called like this that enable sales and just pave the way. They make sure all the dashboards are in place, like because they know, we should know, how this goes and like what is customer success. So they're going to establish the entire process to a way where the salesperson that takes this over afterwards is the actual customer. And I think this is going to happen. I know that you wrote about this in the context of growth sales teams.
Sales. Yeah, I've seen it happen in some capacity. So for example, I remember talking to Dropbox, and Dropbox had this self-serve sales team, if that's not a tongue twister. But that was really a sales team that specifically focused on upselling self-serve customers. And they were actually not incentivized to like get on the phone with a customer. It was through chat, it was through email, it's like low touch, get them to expand on their ACV once they're ready. And they heavily understood not only sales process, but I believe they even sat within product work, which is like fascinating to me because they were product experts at the end of the day, and they were working with all of the tools and product managers on the ways to reach out. I also see in Canva, they have product-led sales hire in growth team. I love that concept. I want to learn more about it because I haven't seen it done at scale, and I'm curious what works and what doesn't about it. But I've also seen, let's say at Miro and even at Amplitude, we have it on marketing of somebody that is responsible for that PQA and the handoff to sales and experimentation on the sales book. So it's not quite to the extent of what you're saying, but I'm already seeing the industry move in that way because we do need a couple of things from sales that are outside of the core sales expertise, which is one, really quick feedback loop. We need to know what's working and what's not because that PQA definition needs to be iterated like there's no tomorrow. And then the second of all, we need somebody on product that is actually responsible for pipeline. And product managers usually go, pipeline, that's marketing responsibility. But we actually need to shift that because in the triage of product marketing and sales, in sales-led organizations, you typically have product that builds product and marketing and sales sell it. And now we need to shift the roles and say product and sales work closely together because product is able to build it, sell itself, and transition it to sales, and marketing enables all.
That's
so
exactly
product and
what it
sales need to work close together, not marketing and sales.
Exactly.
And that just like, I don't know, that just like blows people's minds away. And I'm like,
I'm
it's the only way to actually work.
I'm 100% with you. So now I don't know whether it's going to be a growth team or a product team because I don't know whether you need access to monetization because that would be a classical growth team that adds sales.
Sure.
I don't think you need that. So that's why I'm going more with the product thing. So that's what
I think it's going to be growth. We'll see what's actually going to turn out. Let's revisit this topic in 2 years.
No. So I'm going to do this just first in the company where I am, just out of spite. So I can say like, look, it happened here first. I hope nobody's listening.
Do it.
You would not dare to change your organization just for a bit. No, but I think it's going to happen. So this is going to be super interesting. All right. We're almost at time, unfortunately. We did not speak about 90% of what we had on the list. So that was really great. But Elena, how can people be the most amazing thing for you? How should people reach out for you? What is your next thing that you want to do? Like, should people reach out to you on LinkedIn or should they go to your website, which is elenaverna.com, or like, what should they do?
Yeah, obviously I post stuff on LinkedIn. I translate a lot of it onto my website, which is just becoming a repository of my memes, my frameworks, and my little write-ups that I do. you can try to reach out to me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn messaging sucks. If you worked at LinkedIn or if you're working on LinkedIn and you're listening to this, please fix inbox and messaging and categorization and the way
+1.
that reminders work, please, because my inbox and LinkedIn is out of control. But the way that you can help me is engage with me on content. Share your learnings so I can learn from you. That's my biggest ask of anybody. I try to share everything that I know or any ideas that I come up, return the favor, and that's the biggest handshake that you can have with me.
After this podcast, I will start following you. Okay, maybe I'm going to engage as well.
Thank you. Okay, I made it. Leah's gonna follow me.
I'm gracious today. This is what it is. All right, Elena, it was amazing. Unfortunately, we have to do this again for the rest of the topics. So Thank you so much. And have a nice day wherever you are.
Yeah, you too. Bye.